All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we have Tena Gronek from Yavapai Title. She is one of the title agents, escrow officers that I work with, and she has graciously agreed to spend some time with us today answering questions that a lot of my clients have about escrow and how that process works. So she is going to do her best to walk us through a transaction from beginning to end. And again, her information will be below. So if you have any questions, that is where you can go to find her contact information. And Tina is great and happy to give answers. All right.
Yes.
So thank you, Tina, for being here today. I wanted to, and I meant to ask you, how long have you been doing this?
So I've been at Yavapai Title for 8 years.
Okay.
I have been in law for about 25 years. I used to work for attorneys, and they did a lot of commercial transactions, residential transactions here in Prescott, the law firm I worked for 14 years. And then I moved to a different law firm and worked for a sole practitioner for about 5 years.
Okay. Okay. So you've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of
Before
experience.
that, I worked at the courts as a supervisor in the courtroom. So
Okay. So you know, toe the line, you know the rules.
yeah,
Follow the
well, it's
law.
kind of black and white. Things are for me black and white.
That's good. That's
Some
well,
gray areas.
this is a black and white kind of thing, and
Yeah.
there's not really any gray areas in this, and gray areas make us very nervous.
hmm
We like black
And
and
I
white.
agree with that. It's like we follow the contract. The contract is our instructions. Addendums are in instructions, and even if I'm dealing with people that aren't using realtors, they're like, oh, well, we want to change this. Well, we need to have everybody agree on that.
And
So
put it in writing.
put
Exactly.
it in writing. Yep.
Yeah. I would not want your job doing for sale by owners. Again, they're kind of putting you in a situation where they're wanting you to be the realtor and you can't. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like it says, put it in writing. Put it in writing.
Third party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
handles the stuff for everybody.
We already kind of talked a little bit about what I was hoping to kind of cover. And I always tell my clients, I don't see what the title agent asks you. I don't get those documents. I can guess. So really where I want to start with is at the beginning, because I
Okay.
send you the contract. Typically it's the buyer's agent that opens escrow because the buyer's buying. And I send you the contracts. I send you the addendums, the HOA agreement, septic addendum, well addendum, the seller compensation addendum, the buyer broker agreement. Did I miss anything?
I think you're good so far.
Counter offers, and
Counter offer.
all of that over to you, along with the buyer and seller's contact information, or at least my buyer's contact information, and you go from there. Now, the first thing that people ask me about before I even send anything to you is, what is earnest money and can I lose it? So let's just start with earnest money. How does that work? Where do you put it? And all of that good stuff. What can you do with it?
Sure. Earnest money, we actually just hold it for the escrow itself in an account in our account for Yavapai Title, and you can lose it if you cancel the transaction depending on the date of the cancellation.
Yes.
As you well know.
Yes. Dates are important. Yes.
Dates are important. So really, as the escrow officer, I am like I am the person responsible for depositing the funds, the documents for the transactions for the party, and I'm an impartial third person. So I act kind of like a fiduciary.
Right. Right.
So to make sure that the transaction goes smoothly and finishes.
Right.
I don't know if you want to go into yes, you can lose it, but normally if you're within your time dates, you will get your money back, your earnest money back.
Yeah, let's not go into that.
For,
That can be a whole nother
yeah,
conversation about how
oh,
people
that
can
can
lose
be.
their earnest money. It's a whole thing. And as I was telling you, and I tell my clients, the title agent is the spoke in the wheel of the transaction because you talk to everybody. You talk to the buyer's agent, the buyers, the seller's agent, the seller, the
Yep,
lender. You talk to everybody. You call if you need something from like the septic company, they send you their report.
right.
You reach out to the well company if you need something from them because you're doing all of those transfers and it has to be recorded. You deal with all of that. So I think of you literally as a spoke in an old fashioned, covered wagon wheel. There's
Right.
lots of pieces going out from you, but you're the center of that wheel. And you really can't do anything unless we give you information, which, you know,
And instruction. I mean, that's really what we work off of, is the contract is our instructions on to, you know, finish the transaction. So that's one of the most important things, that we have to have an instruction to do certain things.
okay. Can you talk about that a little bit more? What that
Sure.
means?
So when we open the escrow, and I send out these opening packages to both buyer and seller.
Okay.
And in
What are
those
those? Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Shut
in
up,
those
Judy.
opening packages are just general information that we want to get from the buyer and the seller. Let's start with the seller. The seller, I need to know if they have a mortgage on their property that they're going to need to pay
Okay.
off,
Okay.
and who that mortgage company is, who that lender is, what their amount estimated is, and how much they still owe, and their loan information, so I can contact them to get that payoff
Ah,
for
okay.
the closing.
I forgot. I
Um,
forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah, so that's one of the things I do for the sellers. And then we also, gather their information, because we will do a 1099 for them.
Oh,
Yeah, we send them a 1099 at the end after closing. So we need to get their, social security information number and or their business license number,
oh, okay.
like the TIN. So
Okay.
So those are the couple things that I need. And basically, other than that, for the seller, those are the things that I really need to get from them. And those are all on my forms that I send to them, either DocuSign or I mail those to them.
Okay. And can you explain what DocuSign is?
DocuSign is just a easy way to go through your documents, and I send them out to you. They go to that person. That person reviews and fills out that form, and then it comes automatically back to me.
Okay. So it's electronic. So they don't
It's
have,
an electronic
we don't have to kill
system.
another. So wherever you are, even I think, if you're overseas or on vacation or out of the
Yeah, anywhere
state.
you can do DocuSign. Yep.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Do not have to download that DocuSign app at all. You can just literally get on it, fill out your forms, and then when it says finish, it comes right back to me. So we've made it really easy that way to do for
Okay,
both buyers and sellers.
okay. So what would buyers be getting initially from you?
So buyers are also getting an opening package. We call them both opening packages. The buyer's information, we need to know what their address is now, if they're going to use the new home as their address after closing, or is it going to be a PO box or something else? How they're going to hold title. That's the most important thing with them. Vesting title. And Arizona is a community property state. So most people tend to do, husband and wife as community property with right of survivorship. However, you can do whatever you want. A lot of people have a trust. They want to put it in a trust. We
Okay,
can do that for them right
okay,
at closing.
okay,
If you have a lender, you will probably need to check with your lender to see if your lender is okay with you putting it in your trust if you have a loan.
okay. That's a good question because they're not always. I know I did one recently and it was an investment property, but the lender's like, I don't want it in a trust. So I was like,
Right.
okay,
And so if it's okay with the lender after, sometimes they don't want it in the trust for their deed of trust. However, we can put it into their trust. So we record the deed of trust, and then we record another deed after the deed of trust, putting it into their trust, and the lender's sometimes okay with that.
Ah, okay.
So you just it depends on your lender and if they're okay with that or not. And we'll
So,
do that for you.
okay, and that can be done all at one time.
All at one time at
Okay.
closing.
Okay, cool, cool. I like it. I like it. That makes it, it just is the title stuff comes up a lot with people. And nowadays you've got a lot of different variables and variations in relationships. You've got people that are not married but buying together. You have people that are co-signing with each other. You have the husband or the wife is getting the loan, but they're both going to be on title. There's friends who are buying together. There's a lot of variables. And so that is important that they understand what that really means, because what it means is it impacts if somebody dies, basically, right?
Right, right.
So talk
If
about
you don't have a right of survivorship for when somebody does pass away, say you and I want to hold title together, we can do joint tenants with right of survivorship. But if you
okay.
don't have that right of survivorship on there, you're going to have to go into a probate situation
Oh, wow.
if one of them dies. Yes,
We don't want that. We do not
we
want
don't
that.
want that.
You want to be able to know that your house is your
Hmm?
house.
And then you also have the tenants in common where everybody owns a certain percentage as tenants in common. So you and I could be tenants in common. You own a 50% and I own a 50% undivided interest.
Okay. Does that have right of survivorship at all?
That does not have right of survivorship.
Ah, so that does end up in probate unless
Mhm.
there's something else dealt with. Okay. Okay. So once
And
you've
those are,
reached out,
those are things that we say, talk to your attorney about if you're kind of confused on how to hold title and what's going to be the best scenario for you. Again, Arizona is a right of it's a right of survivorship state, so community property state.
I like it. I like it. I'm going to do something really quick. I'm going to pull up. Ah, maybe I will. So that's basically their first contact with you is those opening documents.
Yeah,
And
actually, the very, very first contact is I reach out to them with wire instructions for buyers in case they need to send their earnest money to me. I'll send their
ah,
wire instructions to them. Those wire instructions do come encrypted, so it's safe between, that internet is crazy out there.
yes, it is.
But when
Yes.
we email it to them, it goes through encryption and then it gets to you and you have to unencrypt it, which is easy to do. When you open it, it unencrypts
Okay.
basically just automatically.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Um,
but it is safe. And then we always want you to make sure and call and confirm those wire instructions because we don't change those wire instructions during the whole course of the escrow. If you get an email saying, oh, here's new wire instructions because all of a sudden they changed, that's a big red flag saying that somebody's trying to take your money from you. So you
ah,
need to always call your escrow officer and say, hey, I got this email saying I got different wire instructions. Is that true? And I'll say 99 and a half times out of 100. No, that's not true.
okay. That is good to know because again, wire fraud is alive and well. And again, not everybody can come to your office to give you their earnest money. And a
Right.
lot of people, I know that there's also like an app where some title agencies have an app where somehow they take a picture. I don't know how they do it on the
We
app.
have that as well. It's called Bank Shot, and you can take
Oh,
a
okay.
picture of your check and send it to us that way. But you
Oh,
make sure you have to have your escrow number on it or it won't come through that bank app. It's called
okay.
Bank Shot.
Okay, that's cool. That's because it just makes it easier for people again that are, say, for instance, can't get off because you guys are Monday through Friday, what, 8 to
Mhm.
4:30, 9 to 5:30, whatever. And so some people work and can't pop in, or again, they're out of the city, out of the area.
Right.
Okay, I like it. So I'm gonna grab my little spreadsheet here and go, okay, how does this work? So one of the first documents that my clients get is the title insurance or the title commitment. Tell me
Yeah.
what that is and how do you get it? What do you do? What are you doing behind the scenes to get this document for them?
So when I get your contract, I open escrow and I order the title commitment. There's two types of title insurance, a loan policy and an owner's policy. The loan policy protects the lender for the amount of the loan, while the owner's policy protects you, the person, the buyer, for your investment in the property. So, you know, in both cases, the title process covers lots of public search records to make sure the title to the property is clear and covers against any future losses if a claim is made on the property.
Okay, and
It's
how long
this
is
is
that?
different than insurance that you have to purchase, home insurance. So this is all only to do with the title insurance protects the potential loss of your home, basically.
How would they do that? How, because somebody else claims title, right? And they're like, we own this house, not you, correct?
Right. Right. Yeah. Um, so yeah, so title insurance differs from like regular, casualty insurance that it insures what has occurred in the past, not what could happen in the future.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
title companies are careful to review their title process, minimize risk, and prevent losses caused by defects in the title. So that's what it's all about, really. If
Okay.
there's a easement on the property, we want to make sure that easement is correctly recorded and
Okay.
not an issue. If there's a well agreement on the property, we have to let the buyer know about that.
Okay.
And then if there's a well agreement, then obviously they need to get with all those other people that have that well agreement and get into that. So, but that's way beyond some of the basic stuff.
Right.
Those are rare cases that there's well agreements between different people on properties.
I actually had one of those in January where it was a new build and the builder put in a well that was going to be a shared well.
A shared well, yes.
So I don't remember, I think it was going to be three potential properties were going to be using that one well.
Right.
So that would be an example of they have to be in agreement and that has to be like transferred from the current owner to the new owner and
Correct. And all those people, all those parties have to agree, and that agreement has to get recorded at closing.
okay.
All the new buyers.
Right. Okay. Okay. See, there's all this stuff you're doing behind the scenes. And that's not the same as, I'm sorry if we already said this, but title commitment. What's title commitment?
The title commitment is the actual, like, it's your homeowner's policy. So it'll provide same coverage as a standard owner's policy and a residential policy. There'll be exclusions on it of Schedule B, including like restrictive covenant violations, post-policy encroachments, post-policy living trust coverage, map is not consistent with the legal description,
Mm.
building permit violations. So any of those things that happened in the past that never got cleared up, we're gonna have to have you get that cleared up.
Okay. I actually had a client that had 5 lots and they had been merged into
Mm-hmm.
one big lot, and 3 of the lots were vacant. And so their thought was, we're going to split the 3 vacant ones off from the 2 front ones. But when they went to do that, they found out a whole bunch of stuff, such as the addition that was added on behind the garage was never permitted and it was too close to the lot lines. So if they split it, it would be out of compliance and they would have to tear it down. Well, they ended up tearing it down. They found out all kinds of stuff. It was crazy. And I'm like, I felt bad that they opened that can of worms, but that was not covered by their title commitment insurance or any of that. It was like
Correct.
they just had to pay for it.
Right.
So that's interesting. So then do you look for, or when you're doing your title search and stuff, what if you find a lien on the property that hasn't been reported by the current seller?
So then we would put that as a requirement in our title commitment as a requirement to be cleared before we can close.
Okay, okay. And
And
I have,
so basically upon the receipt of the title order, my title people start their search. And we have a title plant, it's what it was, is what it's called, where they go to the title plant, look in that title plant, and create what is called a chain of title on the property to be insured.
okay.
It's basically a list of every recorded document that affects the title to the property, as well as other unrecorded documents or other matters such as judgments, bankruptcy, real property taxes, things like that. It extends from the date of the order back to either the last insurance policy the company issued on the subject property or to a government patent, which conveyed the property to the first individual owner. So
Oh,
it's like a
wow.
history of the property.
Wow, wow. I had a friend who her family owned a farm in Coolidge, and they'd owned it for well over 100 years before they started doing a lot of title recording and stuff like that. So when she went to sell their farm, it was a heck of a deal with title. They had a hard time tracking some of that stuff because it would been so long and had been in the family for 100+ years. And
That's right.
that was interesting. She was kind of sharing it as she was in the process of selling, and it was really an interesting process and obviously challenging. You ever
Yes.
seen one of
So when
those?
when I received the title commitment back from my title people, it's a commitment, and then they summarize all the things that I need to do, which are the requirements that matters that affect the property, and they'll be need to be addressed prior to closing, such as the judgments, the liens, mortgages, and other adverse title matters.
Right.
Defects in title, UCC filings,
Oh my
as we
God.
both know.
Yes, yes. Well, we'll talk about yeah, we'll talk about. So, okay, since you brought it up, what is that? What is
A
that?
UCC filing is usually filed when there's a solar on the property
My
and have not
nemesis.
been paid off.
My
A lot of
nemesis is
times,
solar. Oh,
solar, yes. A lot of times, the company that sells the solar to the buyer will file a UCC lien and showing that there's a lien on the property that way. And then we know that there's a lien on the property. However, in some cases, sellers think that they've paid that off
yeah, we
or
had that.
don't realize that it has been paid off. That's right.
We had that.
We just had that,
Oh
yes.
gosh. I know. They're like, well, I paid it. No, you maybe not. So yeah. So
Yeah.
that is, and if it is truly paid off solar, do you ever see anything? UCCs ever? If it's
I,
paid off and
yeah,
completely
the
owned?
UCCs will be filed, then they'll send a UCC termination to me for filing at closing.
Okay, okay. Because
Yes.
I do have,
Before closing.
of course, I have another listing coming on that has solar, but it's paid for. She confirmed that.
Mhm.
So there would still be a UCC transfer that would happen during closing.
If it's been paid off, the UCC termination should have already been filed, but a lot of solar companies tend not to do that right away. They usually are 30 to 60 days out. So if she just paid it off, it, it may come up in the title commitment that there's still a UCC out there, financing
Okay,
statement. And
okay.
then it'll be on the title commitment, and then we'll have to clear that.
Got it. Got it. Okay, good to know. Yeah, these are all the kind of things that are going on behind the scenes that I don't really know about. And most of the times, it's the solar that hangs people up because solar companies have been not so reliable here in the state of Arizona. So yeah. So what other kind? Okay, and again, you're the spoke of the wheel. So what other types of things? Anytime, I know every time that we do an addendum, we've got to send a copy to you because it's probably affecting the closing date or a credit or a purchase price, correct?
Correct.
And again, this is
Yeah.
instructions.
Instructions for me to change, the loan amount possibly, or the purchase price itself, or anything else like that with the addendum. Always need the addendum signed by everybody to make that nice and smooth. So then I can then amend the commitment, send it off to my title people for them to change that amount. So then we send that new commitment to the lender and or the owner if we need to.
I did not know that. Do we get a
So
new
once
one
I get that,
too? I don't know. I don't know that I get a new one. When,
I don't know if I always send a new one to you because in the end, I mean, I can send it to you.
no, I don't need it. No more paperwork. Thank you. No
Yeah,
more papers.
I
But I
think
was
that's
like,
what most realtors say. No,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
I don't
no,
want
no,
to
it's
get
okay. I don't need it. But the buyer, the new owner will get that.
that.
Okay.
The
And
new
the
owner
lender
will get
gets
that.
that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Cool, cool. And then what is your interaction with the lender? How do you, what are you looking for? Just what do you and the lender, what are you guys dealing with together?
So I just, for the example, I just opened one today and I needed to send the actual contract to the lender because they didn't use a realtor in this case. However, usually, when realtors are involved, the realtor will send the contract to the lender and any
We should.
addendums,
We should.
they should, but it doesn't always happen. And so I reach out and say, hi, I'm Tina. I'm going to be your escrow officer. I need to get a lender request from you where they have a worksheet that they send to me saying, I need a title commitment. Sometimes that no, that is a different amount than what's on your contract by, a couple dollars here and there. Say, it's $475 for the price of the purchase price, and they need they're saying that on the contract they only need a $285,000 loan, but they qualified for a $290,000 loan. So the lender usually does that $290,000 loan. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah,
Depending
well,
on what they've
because it's
qualified for.
insured for
Yes,
a little bit more. Yes, exactly.
correct.
That
And
makes
then it'll
total
cover
sense.
some of their costs. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I like it. Okay.
And then so once I get that commitment, I send it out to the buyer and seller with a receipt. The buyer, I send the Schedule B items, which are all the exceptions to the title insurance coverage, such as easements, rights of ways, subdivision covenants, restrictions. Those won't be covered, obviously, in that title insurance policy
Right.
because it's a easement.
Right. Right. Right.
So I'll send the Schedule B items to the buyer with a receipt. They will sign that receipt, send it back to me. And that's usually via DocuSign. Some people don't want DocuSign, which is fine with me.
So then
Um,
what do you do?
if
Do you have to mail it out?
I'll mail it out,
Okay.
and they'll mail it back.
Okay. Do they ever
Or
come in the office and meet with you to sign those type of
a
things?
lot of times, a lot of people do just come in and sign instead of they're like, no, no, I'm not good with the computer. So I'm close by. Can I just come in and sign and get that paperwork done? You bet.
All right.
Anytime.
All right. Well, and I try to pick title agencies that are close to either the seller or the buyer or both because it just, again, in that case, they can come to the office and sign documents because if
Right,
they can't, especially the closing documents on the buyer side, they have to pay for a mobile notary and that's extra expense. So whenever we
right.
can minimize some of that, I like to just use title agencies that are close to where the transaction's actually happening.
And the nice thing about us is, and that kind of goes for sellers too, they'll have to pay, if they're out of the state, they'll have to pay for a notary as well.
Yeah.
So, but
And,
if they're in state, we have Pioneer Title is our sister company.
okay,
That's
good to know.
that's good to know. And then we can usually send documents to one of the offices in Arizona, anywhere pretty much,
Okay.
and get things signed. And then there's no charge to either buyer or seller if they go into that office.
Nice. Very nice. And again, people don't understand, but it's all those little all those little fees add up. And so a
Yeah.
mobile notary, I think 175 is the lowest I've ever seen, and it could be more, you know?
And lately, I've not seen one less than $200.
Oh, so there you go. It's $200 when you're already paying a lot of other fees for closing and your down payment. So yeah.